Welcome to The Dark Side with Verity, a podcast where we dive into all the real and raw transformations made possible through breathwork. We all have a dark side, but it doesn't need to be heavy. And this is why we share stories to bring in the lightness, to lift the load so that we can all feel a little less alone and know that our stuff doesn't define us. And we move through this lifetime with more ease and grace. Let's dive right in. Welcome back to another episode of The Dark Side with Verity. Let's begin with our breath. Close your eyes, get settled. Let's take a big inhale from the base of the belly to the chest, the heart. Squeeze the shoulders back and then just sigh it out. Let it go. Today, we're going to talk about discernment as being the real skill in facilitation. The beauty in this is that all of the facilitation skills that are required make you a genuinely better human. So if I can share these with everyone and all of you that listen, I feel like I'm also doing my part. There is a lot of conversation in breathwork and the healing space about depth, going deeper, holding bigger, better experiences, and facilitating more powerful sessions. This is the problem because a facilitator who wants their clients to have bigger, powerful sessions, it means they're still in their own head. And what I've learned through experience, not theory, is that depth without discernment, it isn't a skill. It just becomes really risky. And discernment is knowing when to guide, when to pause, and when to do nothing. This is the real skill in facilitation. It's why I see so much, and I've been making more reels about it. There's one that's transformation breathwork, and I look at the setup, and we're just, like, to me, this is basic 101. And I tell my facilitators that a lot of this work is common sense, but what I'm seeing now is it's actually not. So one of them in their transformational breathwork is they've got their clients with their head like jacked up like this on a big pillow. If you want to sleep like that at home, totally fine. When you're in a breathwork session, the whole point is that you're there to breathe. Your airways need to be open. So to me, it's common sense. Maybe to a lot of other people, discernment is not. So this is why I want to speak about it. In this episode, I really want to talk about what discernment actually is and how it shows up in your nervous system, why it matters more than any technique that you'll ever learn, and whether you're facilitating breathwork, whether you're coaching, whether you're holding people in any capacity, discernment's important. Discernment is not intuition in the way people often mean it. It's pattern recognition in a regulated system. Many people say, trust your intuition, but intuition can become unreliable when your nervous system is activated. When you're in a sympathetic state, are you really going to trust your nervous system? Me personally, no. In those moments, I have a mantra, I'm not my thoughts. And I know either through pattern recognition of when I am regulated, what to do, or in those moments, I take a pause and I breathe because I want to respond in a way that is helpful, discerning. True discernment only becomes available when your own system is regulated enough to perceive accurately. We talk a lot about your nervous system doesn't know the difference of being chased by a tiger or your phone ringing and it's someone that you don't want to speak to. Your body feels that same elevated experience. When you're facilitating or when you're holding space for someone and you're elevated or dysregulated, you're not the best person for them in that moment until you get yourself regulated again. So a lot of this work, why I am so drilling with my facilitators in the first few weeks of them doing their own work, being embodied makes you discerning because you know wholeheartedly what's happening. Discernment is not pushing people to go deeper. That's your ego. Discernment is not chasing an emotional release. Don't get me wrong, when someone has a beautiful big cry or a big somatic shake out of their body, I know that they're going to feel great later. But again, that's not me. Whatever experience they have, that is up to them. Every breathwork session is only going to be as powerful as the client allows it to be. If it's too scary, they're going to dip their toes in and probably pull back. That's okay. We're not here to push anyone to the biggest experience in the first time. Yes, it happens for a lot of people, but it also doesn't for others. It really depends on how regulated their nervous system is. And regulated doesn't mean just how calm they are. It means genuinely regulated inside, how they can handle their body in stressful situations, how they respond when their body steps into something that's uncomfortable or fearful. Discernment is not following your protocol, regardless of context. It's so well and needed to understand all the techniques, all the knowledge, and have that in your toolkit with discernment on top. Discernment is noticing the body in front of you, noticing their breath rhythm, noticing the orientation of the room. When you're working one-on-one with someone is very different to the energy you're working when you've got a room full of people. It's noticing micro signals before the words appear. It is your job as a facilitator to read the body in front of you before the person even knows what's happening to them. It's why I make my facilitators breathe every week. I don't know how you can do a 1-day, 2-day, 4-day course and be a facilitator. It is actually not safe, in my opinion. Even 6 weeks. Because you need to know. You shouldn't even be teaching unless you've done 100 breathes minimum yourself. Because who are you to stand in front of someone and tell them what to do if you haven't done the work? Like, that is an imposter. This is not a game where you show up and fake it till you make it. That's not it. This is you're working with someone and they are putting their trust in you. So if you've come unprepared, not done enough breathes yourself and just like rolling into the session, oh, just see how it goes. No, you're working with their subconscious, their safety, their trust. If that is broken, it takes a long time to repair. I used to just sit down and stay in my own lane, see all these insane videos online and just not make it my part of my world. There's just so much more of it now that I have to speak up on it more. And maybe I sound like a broken record about safety, but your body is not going to change if you don't feel safe. You can't be in love if you don't feel safe. You can't move forward in your life, in your business until your body feels safe. You can keep pushing and pushing and pushing, but at some point that's not going to work. Your nervous system always speaks before language does. That is the beauty. That's why it's so important to know how to pause, and your body feels safe in a pause. And when you are trained to listen to it, you realize how much information is available quietly. My biggest breakthroughs or realizations is when I stop asking everybody else what I know or learn and just be quiet. Everything in this world is so crazy because it's information overload coming at us all the time. It's important to know how to regulate yourself. It's important to become resilient in this life. Stuff is always going to continue to happen. So it's why I made the app so accessible to everybody. Like, it's not rocket science. It is science, but it's all proven. And all it needs is you to show up daily for yourself. That's it. Don't get me wrong. A lot of the trainings teach what to do. Most trainings teach what to do. Very few teach what not to do. Technique gives people something to do, which feels safe, especially if you have a busy mind or brain, if you're breathing, if you're aggressively breathing hard, you're doing something. But the moment the system becomes overwhelmed, technique alone can actually cause harm. If somebody is so dysregulated, but they think, oh, I'm just going to do more, I'm going to keep breathing extensively, their body doesn't know baseline safety yet. And so they've pushed here, then they've pushed even further. That will send your body into a negative downward spiral. And this is where over facilitation can happen. People talk too much. They want to fix, they want to rescue, they want to push through discomfort. And there's like this fine line, because staying in our comfort zone is not going to change anything if we're unhappy, right? So you and your client, if you're a facilitator, is to push through that discomfort safely. I speak about it in layers. People talk about it as like you hit your ceiling. Whatever it is, it's like you know that point and your body needs to feel safe enough to continue to push through. Lots of people mistake activation or big experience for transformation. Sometimes the most skilled intervention is restraint. And restraint requires more capacity than action. Watch, and I see so many people almost leap on their clients. They're hugging them, they're holding them down. Why? What is that teaching your client? It's not teaching them anything apart from their body is unsafe. So breathwork is about creating space in your body, creating more capacity to hold more. A lot of the times it's not that we don't have the capacity. It's that our body knows what to do, but it feels terrifying and scary. So it looks for a million other things to do first. And it's wild to watch yourself go through this process. Because the moment there's fear in our body, we try and create 10,000 solutions for our body to feel better, do something differently. When really that's taken us off our path. Just because it feels scary in your body doesn't mean you're not on the right path. It just means you need to work on helping your body through that. Discernment in real time can look like noticing somebody's breath before it becomes erratic. You can see in kids, in your friends, your partner, you can see them start to get a little bit on edge. You notice their breath, they start to breathe in their chest a little bit more. They start to look panicky or frustrated. Perhaps even dissociation before the person even knows what's happening. They completely cut off because their body is protecting them. It's recognizing when silence is actually stabilizing for someone and not avoidance. And it's choosing to slow down the session or the pace of the session when potentially you could go further. There's always another time to breathe. That one breathwork session doesn't have to be the be all and end all. It should be a practice that your client or you, if you're breathing, feels lighter afterwards. Not every session is designed to be a big transformational space, although they're great. Then that becomes another thing where you're chasing that feeling. And that again is missing the point. So we're always working through this fine line of clearing our bodies, creating space, but then not become addicted to feeling that amazing rush or that big cleanse. This is the whole fun game of life, right? Working out how to navigate your way in and out of balance. I don't think there is a thing called balance because it's just how we navigate through each part. Discernment collapses when the facilitator or the space holder is dysregulated. This can look like over talking because it becomes a sympathetic response. when someone is going blah, 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 and there's no pauses in between, their body is just in this state of survival. And that's not, we know energy. So if that's what you're giving off, it's going to sprinkle onto everybody else. Or you see a person freeze, like they don't know what to do or say, or they're not moving, especially in breath work. If the client in front of you stops breathing and you're not prepared for that, your dorsal response can just be freeze. And this is what we avoid. That's why we train. That's why we teach. That's why we're safe. The other thing is rescuing someone as anxiety and not care. The goal with breathwork, my training, is to teach people to take their power back. So we're not about rescuing them quickly or panicking, could quickly jump on top of them, because that's fear. People are very courageous and brave. They might not know that yet. And so we can't take that power away from them. We have to let them experience that themselves, because the power in them overcoming that themselves is so much greater than someone telling you. Someone can say to you, "Oh, you're so pretty." But if you don't fully believe that yourself, does it mean anything? No. There can be a lot of unregulated facilitators, and they often mistake urgency for their intuition or download. When I work with clients, I don't really tell them what I see, feel for them. I don't believe it's my job in that space to put all my stuff onto them. I can ask them, I'll give them time and space, and if they want to come back to me later, sure. But my way of teaching in theory is that you know all these tools yourself. So at the end of the day, you're not going to need me. Because we all breathe. That's a tool we all have. There's real power in having space held for you, though. If your nervous system is activated, it's not discerning, it's reacting. Our job is to teach the body to respond safely, calmly. Breathwork and facilitation change physiology. This creates responsibility whether we name it or not. Ethical facilitation is not about being trauma informed as a label, as a tick box. It's about being nervous system informed in practice in the moment. You can say trauma informed. How are you going to respond in a traumatic moment? This is what's important. Because if your body flinches and reacts, it's not going to be helpful for your client. Ethics aren't rules that we memorize. They are behaviors that emerge from regulation. This is why the way we train facilitators really matters to me. At Vidya, we don't train people to create experiences. We train people to recognize nervous system states, pace responsibly, and know when to intervene and when not to. Because depth without safety doesn't create healings, it creates instability. If you are someone that feels the responsibility of holding others and you're sensing that technique alone isn't enough anymore, this conversation probably resonated for a reason. You don't need to rush that. Discernment never comes from urgency. It comes from listening and trusting. So if you'd like to learn more about our facilitator training, feel free, have a chat with me. Welcome to apply. I want to add that, and I'm going to bring her on the pod. One of my OG facilitators sent me a message this week saying, I just wanted to drop in and let you know, I was thinking about you and how much learning about my nervous system has changed my life. And this came at a time that I obviously needed to hear, because she thought that the thousands that she spent on the training, she felt guilty because she hadn't put them to use for a little while. Then she fell pregnant and had a baby. She now is saying that those thousands of dollars she would spend tenfold, because that money has helped her through her pregnancy, being able to regulate herself, breaking generational trauma. It has allowed her to be the best mom she can be. And she said, I'm going to cry. She said, that is worth her weight in gold. Now I'm emotional. That to me is why I keep doing this, so that people can live in this world easier, happier, and more healed. And with that, I'm going to sign off. Bye. Wipe my tears. That is a wrap of The Dark Side with Verity. Thank you for joining and being here to support our guests as they move, shift, and share through real transformation, sharing their stories from the darkest of places, allowing you to see their light. This is where the change will happen. You know the drill. Like, share, chat about it, connect with us. We're here for more, and you know it.